There are three things the most psychologically powerful men in history almost never did. They never reacted, not impulsively, not in the heat of the moment, not to give someone else the satisfaction of knowing they had been moved. They never explained themselves, not to critics, not to doubters, not to the room full of people who had already decided what they thought. And they never justified their choices, not to those who didn't ask for them, not to those who wouldn't understand them, not to anyone who hadn't earned the right to question them. These three principles form what the Stoics practiced as a code, an internal operating system for men who refuse to surrender their power, their peace, or their presence to anything outside their control. This is not a video about becoming cold. It is not about becoming arrogant or dismissive. It is about understanding, at the deepest psychological level, why reaction, explanation, and justification are the three fastest ways to hand your power to someone who never deserved it. Power is not taken. It is surrendered, one reaction at a time. The Stoics built their entire philosophy around one foundational idea, that the only things truly within a man's control are his judgments, his intentions, and his responses. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But most men live the exact opposite. They let outside events, a comment, a criticism, a look across a room, dictate their internal state. They react before they think. They explain before they are asked. They justify before they are accused. Every unnecessary reaction is a confession. Epictetus, who spent years as a literal slave, understood this at a level most free men never reach. He wrote, "Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things." The man who reacts to every provocation is enslaved by it. The man who explains himself to every critic is governed by their opinion. The man who justifies his choices to those who never asked is living inside someone else's courtroom. Stop living in someone else's courtroom. The Stoic Code is the exit. Three principles, each one a door out of that courtroom, and into the only space where real power actually lives. Never react. Reaction is the language of the unguarded mind. Every time you react impulsively to an insult, a provocation, a deliberate attempt to destabilize you, you reveal something. You reveal that the other person has access to your controls, that they can pull a lever inside you and watch you move. Reaction is the proof that someone else is in control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are." This is not about suppressing emotion. It is about the space between stimulus and response, the gap that separates the reactive man from the deliberate one. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, articulated this principle with devastating clarity. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The space between stimulus and response, that is where your power lives. The Stoic does not fill that space with noise. He fills it with stillness, with assessment, with the cold, clear question, does this deserve my energy? Does this person deserve the confirmation that they moved me? Almost always, the answer is no. The non-reaction is not passivity. It is the most active, most disciplined, most powerful choice available in that moment. It says, without a single word, that you are not governed by what happens to you. You are governed by what you decide. The man who does not react cannot be controlled. Practice this, not as a performance of toughness, but as a daily discipline of the mind, the deliberate, repeated choice to pause before the impulse arrives and ask, who benefits if I react right now? If the answer is anyone other than yourself, stay still. Never explain. Here is the psychological trap most intelligent men fall into. They believe that if they explain themselves clearly enough, logically, thoroughly, persuasively, the person who doubts them will finally understand. Explanation is often just approval-seeking wearing a suit. They are wrong, and the Stoics knew exactly why. Epictetus wrote, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" The man who explains himself to his critics has already accepted their authority to judge him. He has walked into their courtroom, taken the stand, and begun his defense, without ever being charged with anything. This is what explanation cost you. Not just time, not just energy, but positioning. The moment you begin explaining, you signal that the other person's opinion matters enough to respond to, that their judgment has weight in your world. You teach people how to treat you by what you respond to. Marcus Aurelius never defended his reign to his critics publicly. He governed, he executed, he built, and history rendered its own verdict 2,000 years later, without him ever needing to make the case. The work explains itself. The results explain themselves. The life you build explains itself, loudly, permanently, and without you having to say a single word. Let your actions make the argument your mouth never needed to. This does not mean never communicate. It does not mean become inaccessible or arrogant. It means reserve your explanations for people who have earned them, for relationships built on mutual respect and genuine inquiry, not for critics, not for provocation, and never for the crowd that has already decided. The Stoic does not explain himself to the room. He builds something so undeniable that the room eventually explains itself to him. Never justify. Justification is the most subtle and most dangerous of the three, because unlike reaction, which is visible, and explanation, which is verbal, justification often happens entirely inside your own mind. You make a decision aligned with your values, and then you spend the next 3 hours internally arguing for it, replaying conversations, constructing defenses, imagining objections, and preparing answers to questions no one asked. You are justifying yourself to a jury that doesn't exist. Seneca saw this clearly. He wrote, "It is not that I am brave, it is that I know what to value." The man who knows what he values does not need to justify his choices, not to others, not to himself, because the values themselves are the justification, and they were settled long before the decision was made. This is the deepest level of the Stoic Code. The first two principles govern how you respond to the external world. This one governs how you relate to yourself. The man at peace with his values never needs to justify his decisions. Most men justify because they are not fully committed to their own judgment. They make a choice, and then immediately open the case for appeal, to friends, to family, to social media, to the imagined opinions of people who are not even present. The Stoic closes that case before it opens. He makes his decision through the filter of his values. He acts, and then he moves forward, without the backward glance of a man who needs the world to confirm he chose correctly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. When self-respect is the foundation of every decision, justification becomes unnecessary, because the man who respects himself does not require external validation of his choices. He required only that his choices were made with integrity, and integrity, by definition, needs no audience. Integrity needs no audience. The Stoic Code is not a set of rules imposed from the outside. It is a set of commitments made from the inside, to yourself, about yourself, for yourself. Never react, because your peace is worth more than their provocation. Never explain, because your work will speak when your words no longer need to. Never justify, because the man who knows his values has already answered every question he will ever be asked. These three principles will not make you popular. They will not make you easy to provoke, easy to manipulate, or easy to dismiss. They will make you something far more valuable than popular. They will make you free. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. Plato. If this is the freedom you are building, subscribe to Rise Above. New videos every Tuesday for those who refuse to remain ordinary.